Have you ever bought a brand new ham radio, turned it on, and wondered, now what? Programming a radio can seem intimidating the first time you do it. There are frequencies, offsets, CTCSS tones, DCS codes, memory channels, and then someone tells you to use something like CHIRP. It can feel overwhelming. But there's good news. Once you understand the basics, programming a radio is actually pretty simple. Welcome back to this episode of Ham Radio for Beginners, episode 16. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Ham Radio for Beginners. I'm your host, Josh, AA4WX, right here on Ham Shack TV. It's been a couple of weeks. Thanks for sticking with me. We are back in full session now. In our last episode, we built our first ham radio shack. Today, we're going to bring that radio to life by learning how to program it. So let's get started. But before we do, don't forget the sponsor of Ham Radio for Beginners is Gigaparts. What a great company to buy your ham radio gear from. I love Gigaparts, and you can shop with confidence if you use the Gigaparts Rewards Plus program. Use my coupon code, HamShackTV50. That's going to get you half off your first month of Gigaparts Rewards Plus. But you know what? There's some great benefits here. 4 times rewards points. You get a 60-day return window. You get a perpetual warranty, as well as malware antivirus software. Again, 50% off your first month of Gigaparts Rewards Plus if you use coupon code HamShackTV50. And maybe you don't want a subscription for this. That's fine too. If you use coupon code HamShackTV, you get double rewards points right off the bat. We appreciate Gigapart's support of Ham Shack TV. All right, the first thing to understand is why we program radios in the first place. Sure, you could manually enter a frequency anytime using the VFO. But that gets old pretty quick. Instead, we save commonly used frequencies into memory. Think of memory channels like presets in your car radio. Instead of typing in the frequency every time, you simply turn the channel. Most hams save things like local repeaters, simplex frequencies, NOAA weather radio stations, club repeaters, and even favorite travel repeaters. I know in my radio, I have at least a frequency for Dayton, Orlando, and Huntsville because those are 3 ham fests that I go to. Once they're programmed, that's always ready to use. So, what information do you actually need to program a repeater? Usually, you'll need 5 things. First is the receive frequency. Next is the transmit frequency. Next is the offset direction. Then the access tone, sometimes called a CTCSS or a PL tone. And finally, a memory location to save it to. That may sound like a lot, but every repeater listing gives you that information. Let's quickly go through what each one means. The receive frequency is easy. That's simply the frequency that you listen on. So if you are listening to your repeaters, someone will say, hey, I'm going to be talking over on the 940 repeater. Well, in my case, they mean the 146 940 repeater. And that is the repeater frequency or the receive frequency or the output frequency. The offset tells you in your radio how far away your transmit frequency should be. Remember, repeaters listen on one frequency and transmit on another frequency. Your radio automatically handles that using the offset. The offset direction tells you whether the transmit is above or below the receive frequency. And then there are CTCSS tones. Sometimes you'll hear people call it a PL tone. Think of it like the key that unlocks the repeater. Without the correct tone, the repeater usually won't respond. Now, not all repeaters do have tones on them. So be aware of that. It's not a mandate to have a tone. However, repeater owners that have elected to have that PL tone, they will have that listed unless it is a closed repeater. And closed repeaters are pretty not very common to see. Most every repeater owner wants their repeater being used by the public, licensed hams, that is. And some repeaters use DCS codes instead. The idea is exactly the same. Once you've entered all that information and you've saved it into a memory channel, now every time you select that memory, everything is already configured correctly. The next question is, should you program everything by hand? Well, you certainly can, but I'm going to tell you it's a lot of work. I actually recommend learning how to handle your radio one time. So, hey, if you've got a one-off that you need to program, you know how to do it. You don't have to go home and plug up your software and all that stuff. It helps you understand how your radio actually works. But once you start programming dozens of repeaters, a computer becomes much easier to program. That's where CHIRP comes in. CHIRP is one of the most popular radio programs available. It supports hundreds of different radios from many manufacturers. Instead of entering everything on a tiny screen on your radio, you can edit memories on your computer, copy and paste channels, import repeater lists, and organize everything much faster. If your radio is supported by CHIRP, it is an excellent tool to learn. Some manufacturers like ICOM, Yaesu, and Kenwood also offer their own programming software in some cases. Their software supports features that CHIRP does not. So don't be surprised if different radios use different programs to connect. Now, I personally, my favorite software to program a radio is RT Systems. Now, I don't have any affiliation with RT Systems whatsoever, other than the fact that you can order RT Systems products using Gigaparts. But frankly, I have never had a problem with RT Systems software. Never. It's not universal. It is to select radios. So if you're one of these that's going to buy every HT that you see at a ham fest, RT Systems can get quite expensive for you. You may want to consider CHIRP. But for me, one of my favorite features about RT Systems is the fact that you can integrate it with Repeater Book, which makes it super easy to program repeaters, especially if you travel a lot. To connect your radio to your computer, you will actually need a programming cable. Some radios come with programming cables, but most do not. Some radios use USB-C connectors. Others use micro USB. Many handhelds do require a special programming cable. And let me see if I've got one of the more troublesome ones handy here in my drawer. Yeah. This is for a Kenwood. This is the K connector. This is an interesting one. You use this to program my Kenwood TM75 or TH75. So some radios need a specific cable, others do not. One piece of advice: always buy a quality cable. Cheap programming cables are often unreliable. I will tell you that from using TYT cables. They are not manufactured well, in my opinion. I've had more trouble out of TYT cables than ever. And that is just an unnecessary frustration. Now let's talk about where to find repeater information. One of the best repeaters, or one of the best support resources is, as I said, Repeater Book. You can search by city, by state, or even if you're traveling, local amateur radio clubs are also a great source for repeater information. Most clubs publish repeater information on their websites. And as you build your memory channels, give them names as well. Don't rely on them just the numbers. Like, for instance, you can name it the location of the repeater. You can name the text for the saving. You can name it after the call sign of the repeater owner. You can name it after a club. Whatever you see fit, you name it, just so it's easy to remember. You might see Downtown North as well, down a repeater club. You might talk about weather machine or Simplex. Meaningful names make your radio easier to use. Here's another important tip. always back up before changing everything or anything. When you plug in that radio for the first time and you open up RT Systems or CHIRP, save your program file or your code plug. That way, if you mess up reprogramming that, you have something to fall back on. Whether you're using CHIRP or manufacturer software, download your radio's current memory contents first. Save that file somewhere safe, and if something goes wrong, you can restore it. You can restore everything in just a few minutes. One mistake I see beginners make is downloading someone else's programming file from the internet and directly uploading it into their radio. Sometimes that works, especially on analog, but sometimes those files contain outdated repeaters, wrong tones, or wrong channels that you'll never use. And also, if it happens to be a digital radio, almost every digital radio, you program your call sign into that radio. So you could, if you take someone's code plug, you could accidentally be transmitting their call sign instead of yours digitally. So be aware of that. Take time to build a programming file that's customized for where you live and how you operate. You'll be much happier with the results. Programming your radio may seem complicated at first, but like everything else in amateur radio, it gets easier with practice. Start with local repeaters, add weather channels, program a few simplex frequencies. I recommend 146.52, of course, the national calling frequency, as well as if you have a UHF radio, program 446 even, 446.000. Before long, programming a radio will become second nature. Here's today's big takeaway. A well-programmed radio is easier to use, more enjoyable to operate, and makes you more confident every time you key the microphone. Spend a little time setting it up now, and you'll spend a lot more time enjoying the hobby later. In our next episode, we're going behind the scenes to show you how repeaters actually work. We will explain offsets, PL tones, link repeater systems, and what happens every time you do it. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Ham Shack TV, and share it with another ham. Guys, don't forget to check out hamshacktv.com for the all-new Ham Shack radio station, 24/7. Your favorite YouTubers like Ham Radio 2.0, Ham Radio Clubhouse, World Radio League Show, it's all there. Check it out, hamshacktv.com, 24/7. 73, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. AA4WX, WSCB 693.